There are always new food products coming out, and one that has come across my radar recently is Zing, which is a zero-calorie stevia-based sweetener. But is it really a healthy option? That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I have to be honest, I hadn't even heard about this product until Carol mentioned it in the comments of one of my other videos, and she asked if I could do something, make a video talking about what I thought about it and what I could find out about it. So I went on their website, and you can actually get a free sample from them to try, which I thought was pretty cool, because if I'm going to tell you about it, I should at least be able to see what it looks like and try it myself. So in the mail, I got an envelope, and it had this in it. This is their logo, so you know what that looks like now. And then in here are some coupons and stuff. And then I got 2 packets of their sweetener, and the sweetener is sold in packets, but it's also sold in containers if you just want to use a spoon and scoop it out. So their claim is that this is a natural zero-calorie sweetener as opposed to some of the more artificial options out there. And on the little package it says here, real ingredients, perfect sweetness. And then if you look at the little materials, whatever that they sent me with the packets, it says delicious, clean, sweet taste, made with real ingredients, no artificial ingredients, 0 calories per serving, easily dissolves in beverages, and that 1 packet equals the sweetness of 2 teaspoons of sugar. And then on the inside, it says, enjoy the delicious sweetening experience of Zing Stevia Sweetener, made with only real ingredients. It has the sweetness found in Mother Nature's stevia plant, which means Zing was born sweet. And that's kind of their tagline, born sweet. 0 calories and 0 artificial ingredients make Zing perfect for adding a delicious sweetness to favorite beverages and foods throughout the day. Okay, so now that we've talked about what they claim the product is, now it's time to talk about what I actually think about it. So I put one of the packets in this little container so you can see what it kind of looks like. I'm hoping it won't spill everywhere as I try to show you. But as you can see, it's quite white. And it's kind of got a powdery texture. It reminds me more of powdered sugar in the way that it moves around and looks rather than regular granulated sugar. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. It's not quite as light and fluffy though, if that makes sense. It's kind of different. I don't know. Okay, so now let's do the little taste test. So I'm gonna do the finger test because, you know, I'm the only one eating this, so it doesn't really matter. I'm sorry if that grosses you out. Okay, so let's see. I'll get some on my finger here. And I can actually show you what this looks like on my finger too. Let me put this down. Okay, so that is kind of the texture. So yeah, it's kind of like powdery. It's kind of different. Okay, taste test time. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I can't say that I like it, as you can tell. It's, you know, if you want to try it, you're welcome to. Everyone has different preferences. I don't think it tastes great. Now, of course, I don't think they expect you to just eat it straight. You'd probably put it in something like your coffee or your tea or whatever. But it kind of, how do I describe, almost like a metallic. I'm probably not great at describing flavors. It definitely doesn't have any sort of real strong aftertaste like a lot of other sweeteners do, but it has kind of a beginning, middle, and end taste, none of which are that good. Let me do another one. Yeah, it hits you real hard, and it doesn't taste like sugar. I'm not gonna lie. It's got some sweetness to it and all that, but you can definitely tell that it's not regular sugar, at least when you're eating it by itself. Pretty good. A bit. I would like you to come in and taste test the sweetener though. I'd like to get your reaction. Come here. Give this a taste. I want to know your thoughts. Everyone, they want to know your thoughts. Okay. So this is what it looks like. You can just stick your finger in there or something.
It's just like a sugar substitute?
Yeah, it's like a sugar substitute, a sweetener.
You want to take it first?
Yeah, that's what I did. We're married. It's okay. But make sure they can see you when you eat it so they know it's really you.
It's just sweetener, right?
Yeah, it's just sweetener. Just
Mix it?
What? It's
I
called
kind of poisoned me on
No,
camera.
I'm not trying to poison you. Just I want to know what you think of it.
Kind of chemically, it's very sweet. It's very, very sweet.
Do you think it has an aftertaste or a different flavor than regular sugar, or?
Definitely an aftertaste of like a
That was my exact
I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't know if plastic is the right word.
That's not
kind of.
I said metallic-y, but I don't know if that's right either.
No, it's only like I don't know.
It's
like,
not a good thing. Not something you want.
like, here, eat this piece of paper at the same time and see what... Yeah, I don't know. Not good.
Okay. Okay, so obviously just going by the taste test, it's not going to win any awards in my book when you compare it to just like regular sugar or honey or something else. But let's talk about the other elements at play here. So the first thing is that this is a stevia-based sweetener, and that's part of the whole natural claim. Now, I don't have any problems with stevia in and of itself. It's a plant. Great, it passes the real food test, which is my first kind of test for anything, and it's a good option, I think. But the thing is that's if you're using the whole plant, just fresh, or maybe you could get it dried, so it'd be similar to getting a dried thyme or dried rosemary, just dried stevia, so that's kind of the next step down from fresh. Then the next step from that would be stevia leaf extract. And stevia leaf extract is sold in little bottles with like droppers typically. And the thing with stevia leaf extract is that it is very concentrated and very sweet. So when you look at any of these natural stevia-based sweeteners, they usually use stevia extract, but they have to have something else in there, because when you look at these natural sweeteners, what they're trying to compare to would be sugar packets or artificial sweetener packets. So you need something that's, going to be similar quantity, similar texture, and work in the same sort of situations in a similar way. So to accomplish that, they have to add other things to the sweetener, either other sugar alcohols or, different things to get that granulated texture and to bulk it up so that the quantities match out, and it's something that works the same way as the other sweeteners that it's competing against. So the other ingredient that's in Zing is dextrose, and dextrose comes from plants. Typically in the US, from what I can find, it's derived from corn, and that's what they're using with the stevia extract to give it the kind of texture and the bulk that they want. Now, dextrose is natural, I suppose, because it does come from a plant. It's not something that's artificially made in a lab, but it is definitely something that's highly processed. So the dextrose definitely doesn't fit into the real food category for me because it is so highly processed, but I mean, it's not something that's like super crazy harmful or anything like that either. But my feeling with these kinds of things is like, it's not providing anything. It's not real food. We're not like getting nutrients and stuff from it. So we really have to think about, what benefit is this giving us? Is it something that we want to use? Because if it's not really providing anything, I don't really see a reason for it to be in the diet if we do have real food alternatives. So let's do a little comparison between the Zing and the alternatives. So the first one would be just plain regular white sugar. Okay, now plain white sugar, pretty processed, not that great for you. I don't think that's any secret. But, you can have it in small amounts, okay? So 1 packet of sugar is about 15 calories, and this is supposed to be 2 packets of sugar, so let's say 30 calories, okay, would be the equivalent trade-off if you used 1 packet of the swing would be 30 calories of sugar. Okay, then the other option you might use would be something like honey. Now, honey is about 20 calories per teaspoon, which is about the equivalent of like a packet. It's liquid versus granular. It's kind of a weird conversion there, but I'd say that's about the same. So 20 calories for a teaspoon of honey means 2 teaspoons of honey would be 40 calories. So calories wise, I really don't think it's that significant. I mean, 20 or 30 or 40 calories is not that big of a deal in this grand scheme of things. So if you're having a cup of tea in the morning or something like that and you want to use this, I don't think it's going to really provide you any benefit as opposed to using a real whole food like honey instead. Plus, with the honey, you get other things like some trace amounts of vitamins and minerals. It's not anything huge, but it is in there, as well as, other properties that honey does have. Okay, but what if you're not the person who's using like a teaspoon or 2 of honey in your tea every morning? Maybe you're using more than that. Maybe you're having several cups of coffee or tea throughout the day, as well as, putting sugar in like smoothies or other things like that. Then you might feel like, well, something like Zing could make a difference because I'm replacing a significant amount of other sweetener with the 0-calorie option. But here's the thing, if you're in that boat where actually replacing the amount of sweetener you use with a 0-calorie option could make a significant difference in your overall caloric intake, then we have another problem altogether, and that is a preference for sweetness. So what I'm talking about here is the fact that our taste buds adjust to what we're eating. So an example of this is, say you have one person who doesn't use a ton of salt in their cooking, they use like a moderate amount, they don't eat a lot of processed foods, okay? And then you have another person who eats like fast food, chips, all that kind of stuff all the time. They could eat the same food, and the person who doesn't eat a lot of salt could think that that food was super salty, and the person who does eat a lot of salt could think it tastes normal, and that's because our taste buds do adjust. The same thing happens with sweetness. Someone who doesn't eat a lot of sugar all the time is going to have a very different experience when they eat a piece of cake than someone who eats a lot of sugar. The person who doesn't eat a lot of sugar is probably going to think that the cake is really sweet, and they might not even need as much to feel satisfied as the person who eats sugar all the time, because to them it's not going to taste as sweet, and they're probably going to need more of it to get that same level of satisfaction. So here's the thing, instead of looking for these zero-calorie sweeteners, I would argue that a better option is for us to work on shifting our taste buds. And this is something that can happen pretty quickly, like within 2 or 3 weeks. You can start to see a difference in your taste perception. And it's pretty amazing how much of a difference you can notice. It's kind of like an extreme example. When I was in high school, I decided to take off a year where I wasn't going to eat any desserts whatsoever, no sweets, nothing. And to me, this was something that sounded like a fun experiment, something cool to try, which I guess is a sign that you should be a dietitian if you think running these kinds of experiments on yourself is fun. But that's what I did. And once I reached the end of that year, I ate a piece of chocolate, and it was like insanely sweet. The flavor was crazy, and it's just so mind-boggling to me that my experience could be that different based on how my taste buds had shifted. And in addition to shifting our taste buds, another thing that we should be thinking about is eating more mindfully. So often when we eat our food, so many of us are just going through the motions. We're not really paying attention to our food. We're on our phones, or we're on the computer, or we're watching TV or something else. We're not really experiencing it. And that's where you get in that situation, where you find your hand at the bottom of the bag of chips or whatever, and you don't know how you got there. It's because you weren't paying attention. But if we are mindful when we eat, we can get the same level of satisfaction out of a smaller amount. So I want you to try this. The next time you eat, really pay attention to your food and savor it. It could just be your dinner, it could be a dessert if you want to test out the whole sweetness idea, but just really pay attention to the food. Don't have any other distractions, and you'll probably notice that you don't need as much to feel satisfied because you're really experiencing it when you eat it, and you're not like, you're not going back for that, sugar or salt or whatever flavor it is, because you're paying attention to it the first time you get it. You're not like just bypassing it where you just keep eating and eating and never really getting what you're looking for. So overall, I don't think Zing is like the most terrible thing ever, but it is a highly processed food that is meant to replace whole real foods. And if you're at the place where replacing whole real foods like honey with something like Zing is going to make a significant difference for you, then that probably means that you're eating too much sugar overall. And what you really need to be looking at instead is changing your taste buds, changing your preferences, and being more mindful when you're drinking that cup of tea or eating that piece of cake. So those are my thoughts on Zing. I hope you liked this video, and let me know in the comments below if you have any thoughts on this sort of thing. I would love to talk to you about it. And if you are new to my channel and you want more healthy eating tips and nutrition info and healthy recipes, make sure that you subscribe, because eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle really doesn't have to be complicated, and I want to show you how to do it. And if you're loving the free info here, but you're finding that you need something a little more personalized, don't forget that I do offer one-on-one sessions. So if you are interested in that, just let me know and we can get that set up for you. Thanks for watching. I hope you're having a